Welcome to Inside the Game on the National Soccer Network. Now, here are your hosts, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler.
Well, good morning, and welcome back to Inside the Game here. It's Monday morning, August the 18th. Jonathan Turner alongside Nathan Wangler. He's in Grand Rapids. I'm here in Metro Detroit. And another edition of Inside the Game, episode number 139 here on this Monday morning. Also have Ryan Glinsky, our producer, here in studio today as well. Ryan, man, how are you doing?
I am doing good. The Premier League season was back this weekend, so I'm all happy. I'm smiles from ear to ear, so I'm all good.
And then obviously Nathan, man, this weekend you had a chance to travel down to Fort Wayne, Indiana. Supposedly it is the home of the Slider. Is this true?
Slider Capital USA. Yeah,
Slider
apparently
Capital.
they have a few smaller places down there. The one I went to is Powers Hamburgers. So they've been around since 1940. Just something that I like doing. You know, one of my guilty pleasures is going around the middle of Nowhereville in the Midwest League, and you're going to find a lot of that. I mean, sprinkled throughout Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, wherever it is that you end up going. You're gonna run across a lot of small little podunk hole in the town places, and it's funny because my broadcast partner he's so bougie. And it irks me sometimes because he's like, no, like people come into town here in Grand Rapids. They're like, whoa, where should we go to dinner? And it's like, oh, there's like this new fancy restaurant downtown you should go to. It's like, no, man, screw that. Go find a hole in the wall. Go to Yesterdog. All right, be a man. Okay, go have some real food. So I love hole in the wall places, man. That's my favorite part. And so. Gave it a review. The sliders were all right. Listen, if you like onions, you'll probably like them. So I gave it, a 7.5, 7.75, whatever it was, aggregate score. So I don't know if it's necessarily home of the slider. I've had better sliders in my life, but at least Powers was okay for what it was. You can only probably fit 10 people in there. So it's just essentially a big kitchen, but I liked it.
Very, very cool. I do like a good slider. Obviously there's a lot of good places around Metro Detroit here. I did not know that Fort Wayne, Indiana was marked the Slider Capital of America. I guess we're going to slide into Fort Wayne and give that a go.
Hey, now.
So, but I was unaware of Slider Capital USA in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So yesterday I had a chance. My best friend's in town from Nashville for the weekend. He'll be actually leaving tomorrow afternoon. And we went to a restaurant called Cooper's Hawk last night for dinner. It's a nicer restaurant. My wife and I are members of their wine club. Now, for full disclosure, you just mentioned the word bougie here a second ago. I am not a wine drinker, but my wife is. And what we have found is the best way to kill two birds with one stone. One is provide my wife with nice bottles of wine, but also provide our family with wines at Christmas time and their birthdays. It's a twofer, right? You get your wine and you get to give it away. So it's anyway. So last night, my wife's birthday is in a couple weeks, and actually a week from today, not a couple weeks, a week from today, and my best friend's birthday is on the 22nd, and so we went last night to dinner with him and his dad, and drank it. I didn't drink it up. I had a Coke Zero. That's my fun nowadays. And a glass of water. But we were there last night at Cooper's Hawk in Troy. Now, if anyone lives in any suburban part of the United States, for the most part, you're sitting out on the side of a street, or on a patio in a restaurant somewhere in America. You are, just cars driving by, right? And it's a pretty cool, chill, probably that type night. Maybe there might be some car noise, things like that. Anyways, last night we're sitting there at 16 Mile Road, and cops just start flying by. But they don't just fly by. They fly by, turn off their sirens, and then pull into the parking lot that we're currently at. And I'm saying we're in this restaurant, so what's going on? It's not one, it's not two, it's not three, it's not four, it's five cop cars come rolling into this parking lot. we see an ambulance drive past our building, past us, and keep going. So we're like, okay, well, that's clearly going someplace else. And then we see like another ambulance support car pull up and go into the same parking lot as us. So, okay, so clearly the ambulance was going the wrong way. Because surely, as I am saying this right now, that ambulance came back around and came in. So it had missed its spot. It had gone to the wrong place. So thank goodness whoever was hurt was not like in dire need of an ambulance, because this ambulance missed its turn. But we go to leave the restaurant, and the ambulance is blocking my best friend's dad's car, and so we can't get out. He can't get out. So we're sitting there, and there's like 17 police officers. I'm not kidding you. They're all standing around this one person who happens to have his hand like this. It was an employee who'd cut himself, it looks like. And they're all standing around this one guy. The whole city of Troy showed up yesterday in full force at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night, man. It was, maybe
they had nothing better to do.
Nothing better to do. And
didn't have as many
on Sunday night, right? But
enough tickets to hand out last night.
Huh? just sitting there going, wow. But anyways, that was my fun for the weekend. Here's what we're going to do. We are going to step aside here for a quick break. When we come back, we are going to dive into Premier League weekend kicked off this weekend. So we'll talk about that. Christian Pulisic, in his first game of the new AC Milan season, he makes a good impression on the first day, right? Can't say no. We'll talk about that and a lot more here on Inside the Game. So don't go anywhere.
Boost your brand with NSN's live soccer broadcast, reaching a passionate audience in real time. Engage fans during thrilling soccer matches. Maximize visibility with tailored ad packages. Add 30-second or 60-second commercials for concise, impactful messaging and greater audience connection. Call 586-304-4405 and start your campaign today.
The Flint City Bucks are Michigan's top soccer franchise with 4 national championships, 9 conference titles, and 15 Great Lakes Division titles. They have produced 107 players for Major League Soccer, and they focus on attracting top talent and shaping soccer's future. Michigan Bucks Academy joins NLS Next new competition tier starting in September of 2025. This offers elevated levels of play and flexibility for high school participation. The Academy will provide premier development, high-performance training, and exposure to scouts through regional tournaments and MLS Next events. For more information on tryouts, training programs, and key updates as we prepare for our first season in MLS Next new tier, visit MichiganBucksAcademy.com.
Welcome back here into Inside the Game here, and I'm in my Shelby Township studios here in Shelby Township, Michigan, obviously Premier Media Group, and obviously Nathan Wengler out there in Grand Rapids. And Nathan, we're going to dive into the Premier League, and we don't typically get into a lot of Premier League talk on this show, mainly because we try to really focus on the game here in the United States. And I think before we dive into this, I think it's important. So yesterday I had a chance to go to a local soccer store here in Michigan, and to put this in perspective, and this is one of the reasons why we feel the need to do this, is I walked into a local soccer store. This store is pretty big, and it's been around since I was a kid, well known here in the area. And I wanted to buy some Team USA stuff for the studio. And they have on the outside of the building, they have like Team USA gear, official spot for Team USA stuff. It was great. Get in there, and it's massive. It's a massive store. It's probably 8,000 square feet. And I say massive because you think about soccer stores. I mean, that's a pretty big store for a soccer-specific store here in Metro Detroit. Get in there, and it's 8,000. Pretty big store for a specific. You can see this wall of cleats. You can see all this great stuff. You see Messi jerseys off on the right with pink. So you're like, okay, this is going to have a lot of MLS stuff. And they had MLS jerseys. They did. Team USA had like this little table probably about this size. I mean, I'm not kidding. Maybe the size of my arms outstretched. And then there was just like some stuff with the old logos on them too. It wasn't even like the new logos. It was a full FC Barca like section. I mean, this section was huge. It was probably a quarter of the store. And then to the left of that was an Arsenal and Manchester United section. They were kind of like intermixed, which I know was probably some kind of a crime. So, right,
yes, that is.
It's some kind of a crime, right? And then behind that was another section which happened local club teams. So there was like the Vardar, the Nationals, Michigan Stars, Liverpool had like their own merch section for local club players coming by, which I think is a great idea, by the way. It's fantastic. And then the rest of the store is just a mix of like Nike and Adidas type merch, where you could just get like a hoodie that doesn't have anything on it. And it just made me think like there's like this small section of MLS stuff, which mainly consisted of Messi, and the rest of it was basically the Premier League, and other international leagues, and that was where the focus was. And obviously, as a store owner, the store owner knows what's going on, right? He knows what his people want. Otherwise, you're not gonna be open for a long period of time. So clearly, this store recognizes that the eye of the beholder is not on the domestic game, and not on Team USA for that matter, but on everything but what's domestic here in this country. And if that doesn't piss you off on some level, it should. I feel like it should piss you off on some level. And maybe we don't agree on that. I know, Ryan, you have a different opinion on this, but I'm curious yours before we dive into Premier League weekend, because it's a big deal. And you hear all these watch parties, you're hearing people going, and they're sitting in a bar on a Saturday morning here locally, and they're watching games across the pond. That doesn't happen for MLS games, as far as I know. And again, I'm not, I don't live in Columbus or Chicago, so I just don't see people getting up at. Well, these games kick off at 8:00 anyways, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But I mean, I'm just curious your thoughts. Does it piss you off that we are so hyper focused on what's happening across internationally in the soccer community that just does it bother you at all?
No, it doesn't. No, because it's the greatest collection of players in the game. I mean, it's much like you imagine opening day in baseball, imagining opening week kickoff, opening Sunday kickoff in the NFL, in the NBA opening weekend. I mean, it's the same exact thing, and people from all over the world are watching that. Despite the fact that it's in America, it doesn't mean that obviously they don't support what their team is doing domestically. But I mean, this is an exciting time of the year for soccer fans. Obviously, they're going to be bought in. They're going to be excited because they want to watch the greatest collection of players on earth, and an increasing number of those players are Americans. And I know you mentioned that we don't do a lot of whole Premier League talk, but I feel like there is room to do that simply because there were a lot of U.S. men's national team players involved. Yes, you have Pulisic, who scored his goal for AC Milan, and my point here is that I had a substitute teacher once upon a time, Mr. Meisner. I'll never forget him. He always said the same thing. He goes, sometimes a push can be a shove. And if the amount of crap that Christian Pulisic has had to go through and the amount of criticism he's gotten, and mind you, some of it from our show, and rightfully so, if that's a shove for him in the right direction, and now he's really going to start putting on, at still the ripe age of 26 years old, getting his first goal in that first game for AC Milan, well, then good. I mean, that's where we want him to be. If he's pissed off and he's going to go show it on the field, that's perfect. Chris Richards looked really good, and obviously in a scoreless draw against Chelsea. On the defensive side, anchoring that defense, I think it was Brandon Aronson, Josh Sargent both scored. Tyler Adams had what they call a hockey assist in his game. Obviously, they ended up losing 4-2, but there's a lot of different American players to talk about in that regard. So I know we don't normally talk about the Premier League, but I think if it's connected to the American player, what I'll say about this is that, no, rightfully so, they should be excited. I understand they're not playing in America, but the fandom in the United States is so fractured, JT, and we've talked about this. Like, there's no MLS team in Detroit. Who all these soccer fans in Detroit, what are they going to gravitate towards? They're going to gravitate towards Detroit City FC and that brand new stadium that they're building in Corktown. I mean, I don't really have a team that I feel all that closely connected to. So I'm not necessarily going to watch a ton of that, but the Premier League is a different story because, again, that's the best collection of players. It bothers me a little bit. I mean, I wish there was obviously more. I think we all wish it was a more popular game. I think we all wish that the eyeballs were on America, but we know how it works in this game. And yeah, I mean, you're going to see more messy stuff everywhere. Like, he's the GOAT. I'm talking to these. It's funny because at the Whitecaps we have this night. It's called Kids Can Conquer Night, and it's these kids with cancer or other debilitating diseases that they come out and they get to participate in all the different elements of the game, whether it be social media, whether it be taking pictures, meeting the players on the broadcast. And the kid that I got is from Midland area, and he's a soccer player. And I just started asking him questions, and the first thing that I asked him, because I knew that he would know about it, was Messi. I'm like, "Are you a Messi fan?" He goes, he's the greatest ever. He goes, he's the GOAT, Well, yeah, obviously, you're going to have a lot of Messi stuff in there. Of course you are. I mean, he's the greatest of all time, and people want to watch greatness. That's why we watch sports. I mean, yeah, I'll consume a high school game or a low-level game every now and again. Whatever. It's a part of my job. It's what I do. But of course, you're going to want to see the greatest ever. So it doesn't necessarily upset me. I don't think that, I think the lack of support really comes from just all the drama and all the other crap that's going on. I think that's tough for people to consume, but I wouldn't necessarily say it pisses me off, quote unquote. It just doesn't really hit me like that.
No, I was just curious. I mean, I got myself a nice FC Barcelona sweater yesterday. It was one of the better looking sweaters in the entire place. And so I picked myself up one. It also happens to be the team when I do play FIFA. It's my team. So, I mean, I figured I might as well wear the merch, right?
I created my own team.
Oh, look at you going old.
Major League Soccer. The Rapid City Raptors.
So
We're pretty good.
Premier League did kick off this weekend. It kicked off, I wouldn't say an epic fashion, but other leagues around the world kicked off as well. Christian Pulisic, we had a great conversation, a very passionate and heated conversation on Friday about how he handles himself in the media. And I talked about how he handles himself on the field is more important. And, well, he did this weekend. Right in the back of the net. So talk about opening up your season with a bang. Pulisic does just that. AC Milan, getting the goal there in the 48th minute. Pulisic scoring. And I know that, and Ryan, you posted a video yesterday on social media about this on TikTok and whatnot. You asking this question about, is why can't he do this for Team USA? Now, granted, he scored 32 goals in his 78 caps so far as a U.S. men's national team player. He also has 18 assists. So he does score goals for Team USA. I think just like the Iron Man in Marvel, he had to have a great supporting cast in the Avengers, right? To help save the world. I think Captain America might need some help. Maybe that's a bad analogy. I don't know, but I feel like being that they are calling this young kid Captain America, why not talk about the supporting cast? Because I mean, do we dive into that? And Ryan, you asked this question. We'll bring you in here as well. You asked this question about, why can't he, or I'll actually have you ask the question or talk about the question you asked, but, what is the issue here, I guess is my question, or is there an issue with him getting the first goal, and how does that correlate to what we talked about on Friday?
Can you hear him? I can't hear him.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, hey, there you go.
Yeah.
gotta unmute your mic.
Yeah, that's the last thing that I was worried about on today's show was if I was able to talk or not. But what I asked on TikTok, if you haven't followed yet, was National Soccer Network on TikTok. Make sure you follow. But the question that I asked was the last 2 seasons with Pulisic in Serie A. I said just his stats. He's had 20 goal contributions in the first 2 seasons just in Serie A. Didn't count Champions League, which he has a couple in there as well. Which he can do this at AC and Serie A. Weah, McKennie do it in Serie A. All these different Americans can do it overseas. The Premier League, Bundesliga, La Liga, all these different leagues. But when they all come together, they can't seem to get it done. And why is that? You would think, these players are playing in these top 4 divisions in the world, top 4 leagues in the world, and they're killing it. And they're killing it in the Champions League. Why can't they do that here? And I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts on it.
Why can't they do it here?
As a collective team in the USA, the USMNT, why can't they do it all together, but they can do it elsewhere?
Well, I think that, we talk about this. We've talked about this before, right, Nathan, about, you're talking about taking the best that America has to offer and inserting it into a place where those countries already have the best players, that they offer. I mean, so I feel like when you go across and play in that environment, you might actually be considered, obviously, middle of the pack or maybe even on the lower end of the talent, ladder, in those areas. And so those teams will lift you up. Those players will lift you up, right? That talent will lift up your game, or won't survive. You'll come home, right? So you are stuck in it. You put into an environment where you just become, part of this process where you can excel. The balls that you're receiving, the types of passes, the deliveries, all those things that we talk about lead towards better quality chances and better quality opportunities that lead to goals. And then you come back here and you're playing with players less than. They can't do the same thing with the ball. They can't do the same thing that you would see over there, and that's not meant to be a, negative type thing about the domestic game, but there's a reason why you're there and a reason why you're not here. And so when you come back, but then again, like McKennie, Weah, Pulisic, Adams, all these players play across the pond, right? So why wouldn't they be able to fit back in and do it here? Well, because in those environments, they are receiving the ball. They are receiving it from other great players. And but now they're on their shoulders. They have to become this thing that they're not in their current environment. Is Tyler Adams a superstar over across the pond? Okay. Is Tim Weah a superstar?
I think if you're playing in the top 4 leagues across the pond, then you are a professional and you're amongst some of the best soccer players in the world.
I mean, we're talking about you being the standout player on your team.
Right, but the expectation, right? But the expectation that we're going to have a team full of superstars is a fantasy.
No.
That's not reality.
What I'm saying though is that on those fields they're not superstars, but when they come back here, they would technically be a superstar because they are the best of the best.
Right.
And so with that being said, typically, like Christian Pulisic is the superstar of superstars for Team USA right now. We can all agree on that, right? He is the guy, right? He is the quote-unquote guy. And so just lost my feed. But so he's the guy. And I think it's important for us to acknowledge that. So in his league with AC Milan Serie A, right? In that league, what is he, right? He is the guy that receives the ball. He's a big part of that process. He's as you mentioned, he's contributed to 20 goals in his first 2 seasons with AC Milan, right?
Yeah,
right.
Each season he's had 20 goal contributions.
So name me a player on Team USA that when Christian Pulisic gets back into becomes the guy that helps deliver balls to Christian Pulisic that leads the way for him to be successful. Like, who's the guy? Who's that player? Who's that player that becomes like the point guard to Christian Pulisic?
No idea.
Malik Tillman, Chris Richards, Jedi Robinson. I mean, you got options here,
but they're not the options that he's got right now, and that's the thing. We don't have the talent, guys. It's a talent thing.
That's just such an overgeneralization thing. I get it. Yeah, I mean, okay. Yeah, what individually talented, we're not on the same level, but to say that, he comes back and he has no options. I mean, that's kind of the point of us covering exactly what the Americans have done here in this first week. I mean, Malik Tillman is in Bundesliga. Just talked about Chris Richards going up against Chelsea and a scoreless draw in that game. I mean, you look at a lot of the other players and what they've been able to do this weekend. I mean, that's just kind of the start of the list of the players that are in these top 4 leagues across the world. And so, I mean, that's kind of what sparked this conversation, right? Because we're looking at the way that they're producing here in the openings of these seasons, and we're seeing it really across the board. How are they not able to put that together for Team USA? And if your argument is, well, they're just role players on those teams, okay, well, look at any other sport. I mean, I know comparing soccer to basketball is like apples to oranges. I get it. Like, I hate cross-sport comparisons just as much as the next guy. But why are these countries who have role players in the NBA able to put all those role players together and compete against some of the best in the world? You know, like, they're professionals who play at the highest levels across the world. They should be able to play together in a way that's conducive, that they're able to win games, but they don't spend as much time together anymore. Like, that's something that we have covered. There's more of an emphasis on club. There's more of an emphasis on their professional career and their contracts and where they're going with these clubs across the pond, because that's where they make their money. That's where they make the majority of their money. People are focused on what their individual career is. What are they accomplishing in their careers? And I'm okay with that. For what it's worth, I'm perfectly okay with you wanting to make your way in the club scene. And I do think there is some level to truth to Americans. Really, they kind of have to do a little bit more, a little bit extra in those environments because they're American. I do think there is an inherent bias against the American player when it comes to those top 4 leagues that we're talking about overseas. But that is the issue right here. Okay, yes, we're less talented,
So
but
the issue is what's the issue?
The emphasis on club over country.
But that's the emphasis around the world, though. I mean, that's not a unique thing to the United States. Every play. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So then, why are all these other superstars showing up to play for their countries in these major tournaments?
Well, we're talking about a Gold Cup versus the Euros. We can't put that in a comparable. That's not comparable.
Right, but they're not spending time together. That's my point.
No, yeah, but again, that they are. Because, again, all the best players in the world play over there. All right. So, again, all the best players in Brazil either play in Brazil in their great, unbelievable leagues, or they play across the pond. Right. That's where they play. In the United States, we have 5 players that go play overseas, and everybody else is playing here. And again,
it's more than 5 players, but yeah.
Okay.
I hear
8 players. 5 to 8.
Practically, I mean, almost the entire starting 11. But yes, I hear what you're saying.
I mean, like,
yeah,
who's playing
there's
on
more
the
than
U.S.
8.
men's national team right now? There's more than 8.
I don't know, Ryan.
I'm not talking about youth
Christian
national. I'm
Pulisic,
talking about the U.S. men's national team. I don't think it's more than
Tim
8.
Weah, Chris Richards, Malik Tillman, Josh Sargent.
Are we talking like this past Gold Cup roster or this?
I'm talking U.S. men's national team projected rosters for 2026 World Cup.
I
think it's 8.
Brandon Harrison, Cameron Carter-Vickers.
There's a lot more than 8 though.
Tyler
I'm
Adams.
not saying who are going to make the roster for 2026. I'm not talking about
Joe Scally.
Is there actual players who can play on the U.S. men's national team? I think it's 8.
There's more than 8, I think. Are we talking
there's more than
subs? 8. Starting 11, there's more than 8. I don't
know the exact number. That's why I'm asking. I don't know how many there are. Is it 11? Is it 12?
Pulisic, Adams, McKennie, Weah, Tillman, Carter-Vickers, Richards, Turner just left.
Yeah, so he's back.
I got 7 off the top of my head.
Brandon Harrison. Did you say Josh Sargent?
No, so that's 9.
Reyna? Did you put Reyna in there?
No, that's 10. I mean, there's more. I think there's probably 13-ish, maybe 13. That'd be my guess. But I don't see. I mean, if they're playing overseas, they're gonna get the better training, better competition. Hopefully, they can bring that back to us and implement that. I mean, we have Pochettino.
Yunus Musa too, by the way. Forgot about that.
Yeah, that's another. He came on yesterday for Pulisic in that game.
Yeah,
so
I saw that.
I had to mention Musa, but there's. I mean, we're hoping that. We have Pochettino too. That's my other point. Where he's coached in the Premier League. He's coached in a Champions League final. He's been everywhere. Like the resources of us playing overseas and coaching overseas, we have it. It's just whether or not that it all comes together. And to Nate's point of having, all these in basketball, these other nations are able to put these role players all together. Like you look at Canada, they have Shea, he's their MVP, but other than that, it's a bunch of role guys. And you look at Australia, outside of Jokic, MVP, but they have a bunch of role guys. And if we're treating Pulisic as our MVP and we have a whole bunch of role guys, we should be able to somehow, mesh it all together. Like, we should not be getting eliminated out of Copa America in the group stage. We just shouldn't. And we should be getting out of the group in the World Cup. We should be fighting in that round of 16 games to push for our quarterfinals. It's just whether or not we put it together, and based off what's been happening.
And there's a national identity here.
16, I think it'd be around a 32, isn't it?
Who knows?
With the new,
well, anyways, we're getting caught up on those points. But there's a national identity when it comes to those countries. That's the point when it comes to those sports. Like, it means more to them to win internationally than it does to win in the NBA. Like, look at the way Jokic responds when he wins an NBA championship. He's like, when can I go home and tend to my horses? That's the most important thing to me. I came, I did my job, I made my money, let me go home. But then you watch the Court of Gold documentary, and the guy's the happiest you've ever seen him in his life when they end up winning a bronze medal. Like, that's what binds those people in those cultures. Winning internationally means more than anything else. We don't have that right now. There might have been an identity like that in the 2010s, in the early 2000s, when they were nearly making runs to World Cup semifinals. I don't think that exists. I think that's the big overarching problem with where we are right now. I think that is the part that we're missing. I think our players are better trained. I think they have better coaching. I think everything else along those lines. Yes, it is more than 8. It's more than 10. Your entire starting 11 is probably filled with players who are playing in those top 4 leagues across the world. Yes, you could say it's talent, but in terms of where we came from, the talent is better than it's ever been. And this is a country that, like I said, the OGs, they have their signature wins. Pulisic can say all he wants. Well, they've never done anything either. Well,
we
they have
on this signature win thing. It says somehow it matters. Somehow these signature wins matter. I don't. We get so locked into this. I don't understand why we're so enthralled.
No, it proves that it's possible.
Wins.
That's the point.
Huh?
It proves that it's possible.
It proves what that's possible. That we've beaten Germany or England. It's possible of what?
That we can beat them.
Oh, okay. On any given day, anyone could be beaten. I don't. Signature wins can come in a lot of different ways and shapes and sizes, but we get locked in this whole signature win thing. Like somehow it matters. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that someone's holding a trophy and it's not us. It's like it matters. Just like at the end of the season. Oh, great. How many times? Again, we can. I don't want to compare other sports, and we are going to have to move on here in a second. But we to think that for some reason that the reason we're not successful has to do with identity. While that might be a small piece of it, we are not good enough. We are not good enough.
Like, what does that mean, though?
For someone that's been playing soccer my entire life, I can tell you that we are 60 years
pulling
away
out the
from winning a World Cup.
qualifications card.
What does it mean? You're telling me that when you walked into a football field, you're telling me that when you watch players warming up in a baseball game, you can't tell me that you see a difference between what good and bad and good and great is. You can't tell me that. I'm telling you, we are not good enough. There is not a single player on our roster that would start on another international team in the top 10 in this world. Name me one team that Christian Pulisic starts on that's won a World Cup in the last 6 cycles. He wouldn't start on any one of them. Name one.
Well, I don't get the point of having the conversation then if we're just going to say we're not talented enough.
We're not
that just sounds
enough.
like an over.
When we're asking the question, why can't it be done here? It's because we're not good enough. We are better than we've ever been. There is no doubt to that. We are better than we've ever been. It's still not good enough. Still not good enough. We are the Alabama to the Detroit Lions. We talk about this. Alabama, back in the day, at their best, peak, would still get their asses kicked by the Detroit Lions. That's where we are. That on how they how that is they draw. If they draw like a group of death, they draw a Portugal and an England and a Spain. I mean, they're not going to get out of that thing. And so, again, I don't want to I'm not saying that you're wrong, Nathan. I'm not saying that you're wrong at all. Do we have identity issues? Absolutely we do. We're hiring international coaches. We're not even hiring domestic coaches. Right? That in itself is an identity issue. We've talked about that before. Pochettino could be the greatest coach of all time, but do I think he's going to lead us to the promised land? No, I do not. And it has nothing to do with his talents. He's not from here. He doesn't know how this system works. He's thrown into a mixing bowl of chaos, and it's a recipe for disaster. And until we can figure out how to solve that, it doesn't matter what coach you put in there, it's going to be a mess. And so I think that that's a problem and problematic. But yes, we have a lot of problems, but our biggest issue is the fact that we don't have enough talented players, the high-level talented players that can compete on the pitch to win soccer games. Because if we're going to be playing the game the way that they're trying to play it, which is they're trying to play the European style of game, we don't have the players to do that.
That's a completely different conversation then. Then it's about the way they're playing the game. It doesn't have to do with necessarily talent. That's one component of it.
And how, again, different. Again, this isn't always about the best player. It's about the right player. And depending upon the system that you're playing, that matters.
Right.
And so
that's
there are
a
a lot of
completely
players out
different
there
issue.
that don't have the talent, but in a certain system would work very well. We have a ton of players in this country that could absolutely play at a high level if we decided to go back to the old style of playing soccer. Direct ball, quick, physical.
Counter,
absolutely. But we're not going back that way. We're not anytime soon.
Well, I mean, then therein lies, to pull out your line, therein lies the problem. That's a completely different conversation than we're just not good enough. Like, those are two completely different aisles. Like,
I can be very broad about it. I mean, I could tell you, I can sit on this desk I'm sitting right now and say, we are nowhere near good enough. I don't know
straight
why I
up,
have
if
to
we
be more
want to play
thorough
their
than
game.
that. Huh?
No, if we want to play their game, we're not good enough.
If we want to play
beat
any
them
game
at their
right now,
own
we're
game.
not good enough. We're not good enough, Nate. I mean, we're not good enough. I guess what am I missing here?
Well, then what's the point of having the conversation? I mean, that's what I'm trying to bring up here.
What is the point
if
of having
we're just not
this
good enough,
conversation or just
then why
conversation?
talk about it? Yeah, then why talk about it? If we're just not good enough, we're not good enough. Then okay, whatever. Then we don't have to worry about having the conversation about the U.S. men's national team or even the World Cup for that matter. We're just not good enough. But I think that's a very overgeneralization of why can't this team produce? I think the issue runs deeper than that. Again, if we want to talk about Pochettino's way of coaching or the way we play the game or maybe our obsession with trying to mirror everything that they're doing over there, that's a different conversation. And you and I have talked about this before. If we're trying to do everything by the book that we see, I don't know, you name the country, we're trying to play possession, we're trying to move the ball this, that, or the other way. That's a different conversation than on an individual talent perspective, we're just not good enough. Because again, if you're putting players in those leagues, it shows that on an individual basis, you're starting to get there. And I think on an individual talent basis, we're better than Canada. I think we're better than Mexico. I think we're better than any of the other CONCACAF
we don't
nations.
consider those signature wins, right? Even by your own point, we don't consider being in Canada a signature win. We're talking about,
right,
you're
inside the top 20.
CONCACAF, we should be the best team in CONCACAF. There should be no question about that. We should be the best, but we're not. We're not the best team in CONCACAF right now. Mexico's number one. I think Canada's too.
Right. Well, our best
we're third right
were
now.
Opting out. They weren't there.
Huh?
We don't, and we're not gelling. We're not firing on all cylinders. Obviously, we saw that in the Gold Cup. We were playing with a bare bones roster.
Yeah.
So I think the conversation of the way that Pochettino coaches, that's a completely different conversation of we have maybe an identity crisis on the team. I think that absolutely has something to do with it. Absolutely has something to do with it. I mean, why else would they be making World Cup runs in the early 2000s when we were what? I mean, not even comparable to where we are now.
Who's making
World Cup
runs?
Landon Donovan was on the best U.S. men's national team when in 2002. We were what? Lost to Germany 1-0. Could have gone to or 2-0, whatever it was. Could have gone to the World Cup semifinals. I mean, we were one of the top 10 teams in the world that year. 2002.
It was a great run. It was a great team. But again, Landon Donovan and Clint Dempsey were on the same team. Tim Howard. We had some really good players. So we were really good players. And I'm not saying we don't have great players now. What I'm saying, and I continue to say this, is the identity, take that away. Take the philosophies. Those are all part of the process. But at the end of the day, we just don't have the talent that we need to compete at that level consistently to win soccer games. And me saying we're not good enough is just an overgeneralization of what is actually factually true. We're just not good enough. And I can go down the list and saying why Christian Pulisic isn't good enough. I can go down the list and start picking out attributes, but that would take up about 9 years of our time. We don't have that much time to talk about this. The generalization is can the U.S. men's national team compete in 2026 with the roster of players that we have? And right now, based on the body of work that this team has put together over the last 2 years, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, do I hope that they fare better? We've talked about this. Yes, I would like nothing more for them to all come together. But will that happen? And to go back to Ryan's question, why aren't they doing it? Because when they're playing against other opponents who are better than them, they don't have the ability to get it done. They're playing against superior opponents who know how to defend them, who know how to press them and know when not to press them. They give them the space. That's what they know how to do. And so, therefore, we don't fare well. That's why. Again, you can talk about the love of our nation or the love of playing for your country. I wish that I can't speak to what they have in their hearts. I have no idea. I would imagine most of these players love playing for their country. But then again, they also love playing for their team across the pond. Probably a combination of those things. But I can't answer that question. But I can say that we're not good enough. And I'll continue to say that until we are good enough.
Cool. Period. End of story. I guess that's the end of the end of discussion. So
we'll take a break.
Yeah.
Boost your brand with NSN's live soccer broadcast, reaching a passionate audience in real time. Engage fans during thrilling soccer matches. Maximize visibility with tailored ad packages. Add 30-second or 60-second commercials for concise, impactful messaging and greater audience connection. Call 586-304-4405 and start your campaign today.
The Flint City Bucks are Michigan's top soccer franchise with 4 national championships, 9 conference titles, and 15 Great Lakes Division titles. They have produced 107 players for Major League Soccer, and they focus on attracting top talent and shaping soccer's future. Michigan Bucks Academy joins NLS Next new competition tier starting in September of 2025. This offers elevated levels of play and flexibility for high school participation. The Academy will provide premier development, high-performance training, and exposure to scouts through regional tournaments and MLS Next events. For more information on tryouts, training programs, and key updates as we prepare for our first season in MLS Next new tier, visit MichiganBucksAcademy.com.
Welcome back here into Inside the Game on this Monday morning. If you're first time stopping by, hit that subscribe button, like us, and share this with your friends and family. Jonathan Turner alongside Nathan Wangler and Ryan Glinsky here in our studios in Shelby Township, Michigan. Just talked about the U.S. men's national team once again here just a few minutes ago. You know, as much as we're talking about U.S. men's national team, the college season is getting underway. And one of the biggest things and the biggest challenges that faces, you know, the college world has been the introduction of NIL, which in a lot of ways is solving problems, but it's creating a lot more problems. And also with the transfer portal. And the transfer portal, when it was created in a way in which it would give players the option to leave an environment which they were not happy with. I think it's done a lot more than that. But there was a conversation. I know, Nathan, this is something that you found on social media, so I'll let you kind of preview what we're about to watch. But, you were going on social media, and a coach from NIU, a football coach, was talking specifically about the transfer portal and how it impacts his college. But what was the reason why you felt this was a good opportunity for us to talk about it?
Well, it's Thomas Hammock, and yeah, I mean, he beat Notre Dame last year with NIU. He has a great track record, and obviously personal connection to Marcus Freeman, and he's building. I thought he was building a monster at NIU. I mean, that's a MAC program that's had a lot of success, but pretty much lost all their players to the transfer portal in the offseason. I just think it's interesting to talk about because it really, everything when it comes to the college game right now comes back to the transfer portal and where we are. And even in covering college sports, you start to see on a lot of these players' resumes, 2, 3, 4 different schools. But we're getting to a point now to where, and it sucks, this is the thing that sucks, is even if you are able to create something that can help people, you're going to have people take advantage of it. That's just the reality of whatever it is, whether it be a law, whether it be something else that you put in place to help, in this instance, college athletes. People are now taking advantage of it, and the market is starting to be flooded, and kids are going to start losing out on opportunities, and that was kind of the point of what he was saying.
I told our team the other day, we lost all these guys. Let's see who plays. So it's all good when people put it on Twitter, hey, all glory to God, I'm going in the transfer portal. Let's see if they play. How many of those guys going to play or travel or get snaps? I was going to tweet something the other day, a picture of me, and say, you know what? I enjoyed my college experience. I didn't get one dime, but the lessons I learned was more valuable than any money you can ever pay me. And I appreciate that because that is long term. People are losing the fact that this is short term. I coached in the National Football League for 5 years. 5 years, right? Don't lose focus of what the long term. Get your degree, learn valuable lessons that's going to help you in the long term of your life. That's the whole purpose. This is a transition from being a kid to a grown-up. And I hope people don't lose focus of that. Everybody's talking about everything else besides what is the most important thing for going to college. Because if you're going to college to go get a couple dollars, you might as well go get a job. This is too hard to go get a couple dollars. Learn the lessons that you need to learn to be successful in life for the next 40 to 50 years of your life. I would do it again for free, because of the things I learned. That's why I'm standing here today, because of what I learned in college, not because of how much somebody gave me. That's what I would tell people. And parents, they need to learn that lesson too. Stop trying to live through your kids. Go teach your kids what are the things they need to learn to be successful. That's what I'm telling my kids. I don't care about no NIL, no revenue share. I can care less. You need to learn things in college to get you prepared for life, to be a father, a husband, to work, everything else. Those are the most important things. That's what people are missing, in my opinion. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, so the money is one thing. He says a couple of dollars, which I find ironic. It's more than a couple of dollars, and for a lot of these kids, it's actually far more than a couple of dollars. We've seen that in a lot of different instances, and the whole intention of setting this up, and I said this once upon a time, and I still stand by it to this day. Student athletes, college student athletes, in a lot of those situations deserve to make some level of income, because the amount of time commitment, sacrificing your body, it is a full-time job. And especially in a lot of the high earning sports in the United States, the amount of money that you're generating for someone else for the longest time. I mean, just how much money that they were making off of these TV contracts and, merch and everything else along those lines. They deserve a cut of that check. They deserved a piece of the pie for the longest time. And I've always said that because these universities are not shameful about pulling them out of bad situations and saying, let us use your athletic gifts to make money and to put our college on the map. but also once you're done, here's your speed walking degree. Go back to whatever terrible neighborhood you're from and have fun, right? Because as we know, and we talked about this, JT, just simply getting a degree does not guarantee you a life that's going to set you up in the long run. But we've gone so far to the opposite side. It's not just about compensating athletes and giving them a good quality education and setting them up. It's not about creating a plan that's going to move them forward. It's about it is in a lot of ways it reflects where our economy is right now. You have the percentage of athletes up here, like the 1% that are making millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, and then you have players down here who are making nothing. Right. So this wasn't set up as equality or we're going to help push players forward or put them in better situations. It was, the highest bidder and just throwing money at kids and not necessarily setting them up with anything. And it's also created the situation where the grass is always greener on the other side. And so you can dangle money in front of an 18-year-old's face and his parents' face, who are probably coming from an area of the country that's not great, and essentially pull them around in different directions. It's created this level of mass confusion. The other thing that I'll say is that kids are going to start losing opportunities. Kids are going to start losing playing time, especially the lower level athletes are going to start losing out on time and the ability to play their sports as well. The system in which we've created has built a monster, and it's not meant to set student athletes up for success after school. It's just get your money, get out. It is, and so, he says he likes the challenge. I don't know. I don't necessarily know how much I believe that, but I think it's a challenge that coaches have to be willing to live up to now. And that's why we see some of the OGs stepping away. It's crazy. It's not something that was necessarily set up to be fair or help student athletes. It was initially, but we've gone so far to the opposite end that it's kind of working against itself now.
Yeah, no, I don't think I disagree with anything that you said there. We've talked about the transfer portal in the past. We've talked about the NIL stuff. I think that there's something came up yesterday, and this is obviously completely off topic, but it's like there's something to be said about like a rite of passage, right? The player before you worked hard to get to where, or your child or your parents or did something before you, and now you get to do that, or maybe learn from them, or do this or do that, right? And like this rite of passage. As a kid, we were talking yesterday with my kids about walking to and from school. I would walk, sometimes a mile to school, and I can't get them to walk 400 feet to the bus stop. I have to take them in the car. It's like, what about the rite of passage, right? It's like, where's this rite of passage, right? Where is this like, hey, I wanna work at this and do this so that I can get that, right? The NFL used to be that, right? Professional sports used to be, where you would work your tail off in high school to get a opportunity to play in college, to get an offer, right? Go accept that offer, commit, and then go play college. And then after playing college, if you were good enough, you'd be offered to go into the draft or be a free agent, right? And go try out. And then you made the NFL, you made the NBA. Now, to be fair, you could leave college and already be set for life. What's the need to go play in the NFL? To be fair, I don't think we've even talked enough about that. Of all the sports, the one that's going to be the most impacted by this long term, with the deals that we saw with the University of Michigan and this quarterback, right? What we see with him, what's going to be the need for him to go play in the NFL if you got $10 million in the bank? What's going to be the need?
Far more than $10 million.
You know what I mean? Well, yes.
It's like 12.
But yes, while I don't disagree with you on that, but $10 million is a lot of money. And if you get hurt during that career, during that college career, you take a couple concussions, do you walk away from it?
Right.
You have that kind of money.
I think that's
already
the point.
In the bank?
I think that's the point he's trying to make, because like that money isn't forever. Yeah, I mean, it's now, and you can retire on $10 million, but are people savvy enough financially to be able to actually put that in places to where it's going to support them for the rest of their life? I don't know. And especially when you just give it to an 18-year-old, there are problems that that are happening here. That's why we haven't created an equality system. And I put this on the NCAA for not setting it up the right way. This is not a system that's meant to promote and foster development in what they're going to do beyond, and factoring in, again, the players outside of that percentage. You talked about getting injured. I mean, that's a big part of it. It wasn't set up like that. The NCAA did not set up a system that fosters an environment like that. We set up he's going to go to the highest bidder. Whoever the highest bidder is gets the player. Congratulations, here you go. It's not about, again, pushing them in the right direction. It's about who has the most money and who can offer you the most.
Yeah,
that's the Wild West that we've created. And now teams in the Big Ten and the SEC, they can literally just go in and just handpick players. Set good player at Central Michigan, 1 year, boom, he's gone. You know he's going to be gone. And so there's a lot of programs that are in a lot of trouble because of this.
Well, I mean, and again, I agree with you on that. And while we can talk all day long about, the fact that, these are 18-year-olds, what this specific coach was talking about is about the fact that you want to get that degree, but we're focusing so much on the things that are going to happen later on, and we want those things right now. And that's a society we live in. That's a culture we live in. We want everything. I want something new tomorrow. I don't want to stick around. I want my new cell phone. I want my new computer. I want my new team. I want more money, right? We're always about what I want right now. I want instant gratification. That is what it's all about.
Yeah.
And I do believe that with what we're seeing in the transfer portal and what we're seeing with NIL, we will actually start to see a change in how long careers are, which we're already seeing in the NFL. We're only seeing players come in for 3 or 4 years now, and they're retiring. We're seeing players that do that now. I'm not talking about
the average length of an NFL career is
but again,
a year,
you're seeing
2
players
years.
walking away that years ago would never have walked away. Would never have walked away this early. You're seeing
younger.
players who have retired way too early, and players who so again, I think that trend's going to continue. Well, again, especially if you can say, "Hey, my goal is to get to $20 or $30 million, and I'm getting a third of that in my 4 years of college. I've only got to go get my first year contract, my second contract out of the NFL. I'm done. I'm out. I'm done." So it's going to change the landscape of football specifically.
Yeah, I don't know if it's about the money necessarily or hitting a certain financial mark. I think his point was that they're just not learning the lessons. They're not learning the other things that are going to carry you with all that, because the money doesn't last forever. I mean, what is it, 80% of them that go broke when they're out of the NFL?
Yeah. No, I think Nate just froze. Yep, he did. It's all right, but
He's frozen.
You got me, which is good. We'll see if we can get Nathan back here. But his talk about timing of how that all works out, right? Just kind of
a minute left.
A minute left, and frozen right there on the camera. But no, I know what the coach was talking about here. I get it. And it has, as much as we want to talk about which is good. Get him back. There he is.
But yeah,
no,
I mean,
yeah.
80% of the league is broke once they're out of the league. So I mean, I think that's what he's trying to get at. If you don't learn those lessons, then you're not going to set yourself up for a lifetime of success. He said 40 years of life.
Huh?
I mean, that's the point of why he said that.
I didn't hear that last part. Sorry.
He said setting you up for the rest of your life, learning those lessons, right? Because or you'll be a part of that percentage that's broke and out.
I think it's a great message, right? Because again, if we talk about the fact, again, that's why I said the rite of passage, right? About going to, again, let's think about 15 years ago when you accepted your offer to college, that's where you played. And there was a penalty if you tried to transfer. Now, there's no penalty. I can go wherever I want. There's no loyalty, right? So if you're not happy in your current environment, you can just pick up, I'm going to go. Deuces. And yeah, there's money that comes with that. So you lose the loyalty factor. And again, it's not about the sport anymore. It's about me. It's about me. All you have all these me's. And that's happening in every sport that it has the transfer portal, not just football, not just basketball. It's every sport. And the sports that are actually hurting more, I think we've seen this. It's basketball. It's one of the bigger ones. It's and soccer. Soccer and basketball are huge when it comes to NIL stuff. So I am on board with changing this thing completely if it can be done. The problem is it won't be, and it leads to slaps on the wrist that we saw on Friday at University of Michigan, right? So it just leads to that, right? Just leads to because you have when you've given all this power back to the player, right? All this power now lies in the hands of the player. And as great as that sounds, and as awesome as it sounds, it comes with this thing where you can't you can't do what you want to do. You can't the hammer that they want to talk about slapping down on Michigan. That didn't happen. And we'll get into more of that. Even though it has nothing to do with soccer, we will definitely get into that this week because again, what the heck, But we have our opinions about that for sure. But that'll wrap up episode 139 here. 140 here tomorrow coming up. We'll dive into our top 5 U.S. men's national team players of all time. I've already told mine on TikTok, but we'll get into Nate's here tomorrow. We'll also dive into the ACC men's conference preseason polls. We'll start talking about high school soccer in the state of Michigan. We'll get into maybe the way too soon top 25 here in the state. We'll get up into that as well. A lot more good coverage of soccer coming up this week on Inside the Game. But that's Nathan Wengler. I'm Jonathan Turner. Alongside me over here to my left is Ryan Glinsky. Again, come back here tomorrow as we're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Roku TV. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you same time, same place, right here on Inside the Game. From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wengler bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This is Inside the Game.